It is 7 p.m., October the 2nd, 2019. I wanted to record a quick run through of our indicators just to lock in what's actually happening right now as Bitcoin is making a little bit of an attempt to break out. So I want to start off with the long-term time frame and look at the relative strength index because we're watching for a sharp move here. And if we fail that sharp move and we start to drop down from here throughout the week, that's going to be bearish. So I'm really zooming in on this now. If this continues to give us a good sharp move in the RSI, we really could pick up off these levels. But it's all just depending on what this is doing. And I want to record it as we're zooming in here. So as we're getting into the 12-hour time frame, it's still a nice positive divergence. And watching if it breaks this trend line, then of course, then we know that it's running out of steam. So every time it breaks that trend line. But as we're coming up to the midway point, if this relative strength index breaks up above those levels, that's going to be really bullish. Now I want to zoom into the 4-hour time frame, and we can see here that we have broken above the mid level on this time frame and started to tick above it. So if this 1, 2, 3 formation on this little wee time frame from the double bottom, if it breaks higher, we have confirmation here from our RSI that we were looking at earlier today. Now I want to zoom into the 1-hour time frame just to capture what's going on here and to map out how the RSI is playing itself out. How overbought can it get on the way up now? We still have a long ways to go. Really good. I want to go and check the on-balance volume. It still is showing a little bit of selling going on here, not really turned into the buying zone yet. Zoom in, there's still a lot of more selling than buying right at the tip. We still have a lot more selling than buying, and I want to point out this negative divergence here where we have buying, less buying, dumping. So overall, I'm still quite bearish, but just wanting to map this out as we're zooming in on the time frames. 4-hour time frame, now we're getting some buying activity setting up in here. Some buying. So if this coincides with buying, it is definitely a place to take a small long position and start staging. If it continues, then you could hold that position. Let's zoom back and just take a quick look at what the volume's doing here. Nothing really super strong yet. Even though it's made a pretty good move here, there's not a significant amount of volume pushing behind it. Let's just quickly go through the MACD indicator. So for me, the MACD in the long-term time frame is definitely bearish. Let me grab its coloring stick. So very bearish here with that crossover. Now we zoom into the 1-day time frame. This could be a turnaround. I'm not expecting it, but it could be a turnaround place that if this does come up and start to stage higher while we have prices going up, then it could be. But instead of that, really, I'm more intent on watching for this to be another negative cross or flat for a while and then a cross. We'll have to see how it plays out. Now, on the 12-hour time frame, it has crossed to the positive. We noticed this the last couple shows here now. As we go into the 4-hour time frame, earlier today, this was right on touching, and we were watching for it to flare wider or cross negative. It has to flare wider if we're crossing here, and it had to cross negative if prices were going lower. We're in such a narrow zone, and everything is tuned in so tight there, we could really see that, and now it's spread wider. As we go into the 1-hour time frame, there is our flare to the positive. If this keeps going and stays positive histogram while we're breaking higher, there's more confirmation in there. Last thing to check, almost last thing to check, is the Ichimoku Cloud. This still could be bullish for a long time on the weekly. On the daily time frame, this gave us indication of a sell signal quite a bit earlier than everything else. And I keep going over and reviewing this, but now that our cloud is thickening up and this is starting to come sideways, we're going to be watching for the blue and the red to cross positive on the daily. If we go into the 12-hour time frame, it still hasn't crossed positive. We still have a negative cross over here, negative. This is still, it's all negative. Nothing is recovered enough yet on the 12-hour time frame to be positive. The 4-hour time frame is coming to the potential for a sell signal in the downtrend. Every time the price comes into the cloud like this, especially like this, and we have the blue line above the red. Now, if prices ease off and the blue crosses the red, it is definitely a sell signal in a downtrend from the Ichimoku Cloud right there. And it's set up beautifully. As we were watching the last few days, as this was going sideways, we were continually pointing out that anything in this range here and a break would be a sell signal in a downtrend for the 4-hour time frame. So the 12 is bearish, the daily is bearish, the 4-hour could be a sell signal in a downtrend. And then we get into the 1-hour and it's gone through the cloud. It is just crossing to the positive. We don't have a twist to the positive here. It's untwisted. So again, it's got to show strength up above these levels to complete this into a full buy signal. If we go into the 15-minute time frame, what is it showing us? Not as strong as a buy signal as I was actually thinking, but it is up above the cloud, and the cloud is going like a negative thin setup. So if that stays this way, then we could be going up, and it would confirm that we're going up a little bit. Now let's go on to Bitcoin dominance. It is making a head and shoulders top formation, but it's also in, well, that's the uptrend is broken right there. So should it break down here, the alts are going to be taking off. If it starts to go back up above these levels and restage up above this, it'll change all of the song for the altcoins. Right in here and right in here is huge, important levels right now. Let me go on to one more thing. Let's take a look at Bitcoin, Ethereum, Litecoin, and Ripple. All of them on the 1-hour time frame. The alts are making ascending wedges or top formations. And I'm not sure, but if Bitcoin is breaking higher and they are breaking higher, then Bitcoin dominance will be dropping. So now we're just watching to see, are these top formations or are they ascending wedges that are going to be breaking higher? So Litecoin for me is like a really nice setup for an entry right there, even better than these two are. But now I just wanted to go through the whole process and record our details to give us an idea and then finish off with this idea on the Bitcoin dominance and what that might mean for our altcoins. And you may know we have the Patron Bull Market Watch spreadsheet that has far more detail in all of the altcoins. Now we have this spreadsheet upgraded so that all of our patron sponsors get a summary of how many coins are in alert status, how many are in hold status, and if there are any coins showing up in our exit status. So this is really good for an active trader to be paying attention easily and quickly to which coins are turning into alert status. That wraps it up for this episode. Let's jump right back into the price of Bitcoin and see if this breakout is going to have any juice behind it. Thanks again for tuning in. I want to keep my eye on the MACD indicator and zoom in on the close time frame to see what this is doing. So as this pulls back, then I know that it is not got the juice behind it. But should this continue to grow positive, all is good. Thanks again for tuning in. I want to end with a 3 cheers for the patron sponsors who make this channel possible.